What's going on, everybody? Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Patrick Siepman, and on today's show, we're going to be breaking down the latest around Jayden Daniels, and then also going over some blockbuster trades for the Minnesota Vikings and trading up into the NFL draft. I already got a bunch of real ones in the chat, so I really do appreciate it. Decided to go live on this Friday to hang out with you guys. Obviously, March Madness going on right now. We got this in the background, some great games. Hopefully, you guys are having a good day. But I want to start the chat off hot. Give me a skull down below in the chat. As Garrett Rustborough saying real one checking in. What's up, Garrett? Frosty in the chat saying skull. We had Corey Gamer Myers, Vikings fan number 1. Shout out to you. Matthew Meyer, Justin Parrish, Nighttime Mime, all in there. Is Gray Otter saying fins up. I actually did hear Nick Wright suggest that the Vikings should target Tua, so we're probably going to hit that on a video next week, but I just don't really think that's too likely. Yeah, Nick Wright's an idiot. But speaking about Nick Martinez in the chat saying skull. Aaron Gibson saying smash that like button. I agree, Aaron. If you guys haven't already, hit that like. And then also Caden in the chat. Tristan and Sloat in the chat as well. Shout out to all you guys tuning in. But I want to kick it off to this. This is a big-time question. I made this the poll question on today's show, and we're damn near split in between the three of them. We've had 120 votes roll in, and Jayden Daniels is getting 35%, Drake Maye is getting 31%, and J.J. McCarthy is getting 34%. But if you guys had to pick a quarterback, type DM for Drake Maye, JJ for J.J. McCarthy, and Jayden Daniels JD for Jayden Daniels. McCarthy just finished up his pro day at Michigan. Looked pretty damn good. The ball is flying off of his hands, man. I mean, he throws the football on a line. Obviously isn't too good at putting touch on the football just yet, but in terms of just hitting the fastball right down the middle of the field, man, JJ might be the best in the class. As Nick Martinez is saying, JJ is the next Breeze. That's high praise, man. I mean, that would be a top 5 quarterback of all time. As OP Expert saying, I love all these guys. Frosty going JD, Garrett Rustborough going JJ, Aaron Gibson going JJ. So a lot of JJs and JDs in the chat. And, I'll get to it here in a second, later on in the show. I do have my official quarterback rankings as it stands right now. But Corey's saying, who would I have? If I had to pick one of these guys, and it obviously depends. I think the Vikings have 2 options. You're trading 3 first-round picks and maybe even more for this man right here, Drake Maye. Or you could potentially package 11 and 23 and trade up to 4 or 5 to get JJ. I'm kind of split in the middle, but probably going Drake Maye. But again, if they get JJ McCarthy, to have him sit behind Darnold for a year, I mean, it would do wonders for this football team. But I do want to kick it to this. We're going to be talking about Jayden Daniels here to start today's show. Who is your NFL comparison for Jayden Daniels? I'll get to mine here later on in the show. He's obviously got a little Lamar Jackson in his game. But I want to see if you guys could name another comparison. Don't go Lamar Jackson for Jayden Daniels. I'll challenge you guys. See if you guys got somebody else down in the comments section. Nick Martinez is going a little Russell Wilson. I don't hate that. Throws a very similar deep ball to Russ. The only thing is they got just different body types and everything. But because Russ was more small and compact, Jayden Daniels obviously that tall, lanky build. As crazy is typing JJ. Matthew saying tall RG3. I don't hate that at all. I like that a lot actually, man. Great runner as well. Obviously, Jayden Daniels, he doesn't have this burner speed to him like Lamar. You said what? Black Andrew Luck's a good one. That's a good one. Jalen Hurts, I don't really think he's like Jalen Hurts. I think they play very, very differently. Juan Antonio saying DM. Martin saying Donovan McNabb. I've heard that comparison, and I actually absolutely love it. But we got Catherine Anderson rolling in with the first super chat of the day, and she is saying Tom Brady. Are you talking about your comparison for Jayden Daniels or J.J. McCarthy? Really do appreciate it, Catherine. Everybody give me a skull, Catherine, down below in the comments section. Nick Martinez saying, isn't Lamar a running back? No, he's a quarterback. That Lamar kind of put that joke to bed after he won 2 MVPs, in my opinion. Nevada saying, do you think Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback or overrated? I think he's incredibly overrated. I think he just benefited from having one of the best rosters in the NFL over the past couple of seasons. I'm not the biggest fan of Hurts, but we do have something fun here on the show. Catherine already got us kicked off with a super chat today. We are still doing every $10 gets your name on our Hall of Fame board. And if you guys are already on here and you guys see somebody showing love in the chat, you guys could also send in 10 and then put their name on. Then you're also going to get a raffle ticket for a Vikings little item. It's pretty sweet.
Seeps, I got one thing I want to say. Nick Martinez saying that Lamar's second MVP was a bogus one. It was the most bogus one because he had an elite line and elite weapons. Is that not the exact same case with every single MVP quarterback in the last 20 years?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, most MVPs, man. I mean, they
elite line and elite weapons.
I mean, it's a team game, man. It's not like the NBA where it's like, if you're the MVP like a Giannis or a Jokic, where you just really drive the ship for that ball club. Like NFL is such a just team sport, and like obviously you need a complete roster to elevate the quarterback. And I think Lamar's definitely earned it. But Garrett Russborough coming in with a $10 super chat. He's going on the board. Garrett, shout out to you. Everybody, give me a Skol Garrett down below. Garrett was a legend from during the season. It's awesome seeing all these guys that tuned in for our watch parties during the year that are now tuning in for our weekly live shows. Garrett, you're there at the bottom. Shout out to you. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. But now let's kick into this. Who is your NFL comparison for the Michigan quarterback, J.J. McCarthy? I've went back and forth on this. I think I've came to this conclusion. He, in my opinion, is a more athletic Andy Dalton. And I know what you guys may be saying. Andy Dalton, why would we pick him in the top 5? Well, listen, Andy Dalton was a great NFL quarterback. There's no doubt about it. But they got very similar throwing motions. I think they, coming out of college, they were very similar, actually, in terms of what they were obviously good at and bad at. And so that's the one I'm kind of leaning with. I've also heard a taller, more athletic Brock Purdy, which I like that one as well. But you said what? Baker's a good one, too, for JJ because he's got that gamer. But I think he's a more athletic and more mobile Andy Dalton. He's way better outside of the pocket. But X is vibing, coming in with a $5 super chat. Shout out to you, X, as Corey is saying Christian Ponder. No, he is not Christian Ponder. J.J. McCarthy, Phillip Rivers. I don't hate that. Aaron Gibson. So C.J. Stroud's an interesting one. Very, very similar prospects coming out. Like, I saw this really in-depth film breakdown on YouTube.
Wait, are you saying J.J. McCarthy can't read?
Yeah, funny enough, that Wonderlic test, man. Everybody freaked out over C.J. Stroud, and it turns out that doesn't really matter too much. Nevada saying a more mobile Kirk Cousins. That's also one I've gotten to. I just wanted to stay away from the Kirk comparison. But X is vibing saying Lamar had mid-stats, bogus MVP. I don't care about the roster. Should have been McCaffrey. X, I love you, man. You show support here on the channel all the time, but I'm going to have to disagree with you. On this one. So I thought he deserved it last year. I think he's a hell of a quarterback. In my opinion, he's top 5 in the league. So, but appreciate it, X. As Catherine saying J.J. McCarthy, he is like Tom Brady. Yeah, you knew that comparison was going to come in the chat just because of the Michigan connection. And then also, them just winning all the freaking time. I mean, JJ's, he was, I think what was it total? I think he was 27-1 this year or in his 2 years at Michigan as a starter. So obviously, played his ass off. This is a Blair Walsh jersey. No, it's not. It's a Skull Adam jersey, one of our big-time super chatters in the year. I got his jersey. Don't worry, I'm not rocking a Blair Walsh, Matt. Don't worry about that. But OP Expert coming in with the first-time super chatter. I always see you commenting on the videos. I try to chop it up with you a good amount, but he says, love your vids, man, but I think all these guys are a nice pickup. Skull. OP, I agree. And I think I've said this multiple times, and I'm going to continue to say it. The best quarterback in this class is Caleb Williams. The second best will be whoever the Vikings draft because I think landing spot matters so much for these guys. And, I think whether it's Daniels, McCarthy, or Drake Maye, the Vikings, they're in a great spot with building this roster around the QB. Is like, I think they're going to have the second best quarterback in this year's draft class no matter who they take, which is a pretty, cool thing. But OP Expert, I'll write your name down on here on the Hall of Fame board. Thank you so much for always commenting and showing love on the channel. I always see your comments. So, seriously, I really, really do appreciate it. But then my man Z Cool saying anyone KOC picks up, I'll support them full go. Skull. Shout out to Z Cool. So you know what? Since Z Cool is already on the Hall of Fame board, I'm going to ask everybody to spam Skor in the comment section right now, and I'll pick a random viewer, and then we'll put your name on there. So everybody type Skor right now, and I'll close my eyes, and we'll get one of you guys on there. TRZ is saying Daniel Jones for J.J. McCarthy. Couldn't be more different, man. Couldn't be more
faster.
different.
Type it faster. Type it faster.
Let's break the chat right now, and I'll add one of you guys to the board. Here we go. I'm going to look in 3, 2, 1. Nick Martinez, you're going on. Shout out to Nick. Saw Nick Martinez first name. We appreciate it. This thing is filling up. Nick, I put you over at the top, man. But shout out to Z Cool, showing love on the channel. As always, thank you so much. But we got a loaded show for you guys today. We're going to dive into it. Only 2 segments on today's show, but there was a report that came out there that the Vikings may have interest in Jayden Daniels, and just starting to think about all of these reports we've been getting about the Vikings are only in on Drake Maye and they're only in on J.J. McCarthy. Could Jayden Daniels be actually the guy? And all that was a smokescreen for Minnesota. And then also right here, we're going to be going over blockbuster trades. We got 4 blockbuster trades for you guys, and if you guys are ready to get after it, chop it up, talk about the Minnesota Vikings a little more, just drop a like on today's video. We're at 43 likes. I'd really appreciate it if maybe we could, maybe get up to 50 likes. That'll be something. Push the stream out to more and more Vikings fans. But Martin Neuter, I always see you commenting on the video as well. First time super chatter. Martin, you know what? Even though it's only 5, since you're always showing love, I'm going to sign your name on here. I always appreciate your thoughts, and he just sent in a $5 super chat. Shout out to you. I appreciate it, Martin. Thank you so much. Always showing support on the show. Always liking, commenting, whatever it may be. So seriously, thank you so much. As Davey, OG Chains. I was actually just looking at your Instagram DM the other day. Davey always giving me a good chuckle, but he says, whoever we draft at 11 or trade up to 3 or 4, we will have KOC and McCown to mentor them and make them elite. Davey, I totally agree, man. That's why I think the Vikings are in such a good spot, and that's why I feel like the fan base is so optimistic right now. It's because, Kwesi's done a great job this offseason. He added more talent on defense. He added an elite running back in Aaron Jones, who's going to have the biggest freaking chip on his shoulder this season after Green Bay replaced him. And you got Josh McCown, an elite football mind. Kevin O'Connell, another elite football mind. Like, this coaching staff, it's awesome. I mean, in fact, you got Josh McCown, Kevin O'Connell, and Brian Flores all on the same coaching staff. Like, I just really think the Vikings are going to have a special year next year, even if it's a rookie quarterback in there, or even if it's Sam Darnold in as the starting quarterback. I think they're going to get a lot out of them. But Davey, I'll write your name on here before we dive into today's show. Davey OG Shanes, a legend here. He always kicked off our watch parties with absolute electricity. You're right there, Davey OG Chains. We appreciate it. It's Harvey Buxton in the chat as well. But we got 175 people with us right now. If you guys haven't already, hit that like button. We're going to dive into the latest around Jayden Daniels. What's going on, guys? Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. Coming up in just around the corner, Darren Wolfson said there's still very real interest in quarterback Jayden Daniels. And then he said, but I'm just saying, don't sleep on Jayden Daniels. We'll get to that in a second, but I want to start today's show off by asking you guys a question. Pick a quarterback for me. For the Minnesota Vikings next season, who would you like them to draft? Drake Maye, give me a DM. J.J. McCarthy, give me a JJ. And then if you want the LSU quarterback, the Heisman winner, give me a JD down in the comments section. What's going on, guys? My name is Patrick Siepman. Welcome into today's show. So the Minnesota Vikings apparently have some real interest in Jayden Daniels. This is coming in from Darren Wolfson. He was on Skor North the other day, just chopping it up with the guys over there. And this is what he's had to say. He says, of the 3, Drake Maye, Jayden Daniels, and J.J. McCarthy, my sense is the Vikings have pretty strong, good opinions on all 3. Now, I'd understand it if Maye is the clear-cut number 1 of these 3. However, he carried on to say, but I'm telling you, there's been very little Jayden Daniels chatter, and I guess I don't get it. Like, I'm not sitting here dismissing the possibility of Daniels ultimately being the guy here. That's what I'm saying. And, this is definitely new information because all the reports we have gotten from Vikings front office members, from the Vikings brass, we have heard that they are all in on the North Carolina quarterback, Drake Maye. And then if they can't land him, they view J.J. McCarthy as a great second option for this football team. But I think Jayden Daniels would be a great choice as well. Let's take a look at his last 2 years with the LSU Tigers. And the thing I want you guys to pay attention to the most here is his progression from 2022 to 2023. And this is my main reason why I really like this cat from LSU, is because it just kind of speaks to his work ethic. His completion percentage going up by just more than 3%. Passing yards just over 900. The touchdown to interception ratio this past season was 40-4. Big reason why he won the Heisman. Yards per attempt skyrocketed up by 4.2. And then the dual threat ability with Daniels. He's a really smooth runner. He doesn't have that elite burst that I think Lamar Jackson does, but he's more of a crafty runner. I think he's got great elusiveness in his game. I mean, he almost ran for back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons in college. But he's also a big-time thrower. And this is a stat from PFF. It's big-time throw percentage. And this is how he ranks amongst all the other quarterbacks in this year's draft class. He was 8.4% of his throws were big-time throws. Maye was at 7.5. Penix at 7.3. Then you see Caleb Williams, J.J. McCarthy, and Bo Nix all following behind him. But, guys, I got to be honest here. I have had a tough time evaluating Daniels in comparison to Maye or McCarthy because I think I have a really good understanding on who, Drake Maye and J.J. McCarthy are. I think J.J. McCarthy's going to be that, I don't want to say game manager type of quarterback, but that more of like fit in the box guy where he can really take an offense to the next level, but he's going to play within the offense. Then I think Drake Maye, if he ends up working out, you legitimately have a guy like Justin Herbert or Josh Allen. But when I'm watching Jayden Daniels, like a lot of his throws this season, we're just chucking it up to these two guys, Malik Nabers and Brian Thomas Jr., which both these guys could possibly go in the top 20 of this year's draft. I mean, Nabers is going to be no doubt a top 10 pick. So I've had a tough time really scouting Jayden Daniels and getting a true, great scouting report on him. But this is what I have so far. So my Daniels scouting report as it stands right now. Biggest pro for him is elite mobility. And like I said, he's not like that kind of over-the-top burner in Lamar Jackson. He's more of that kind of elusive runner. He's going to make men miss, and he's going to use his kind of shake and bake ability on the second level once he does get there. So he's a very mobile quarterback, and I think that would almost give him a floor in the NFL where his legs are going to be top 10 in the NFL, so it's going to kind of give him more time to develop the passing part of his game. But a con he has. He's a skinny dude, man. He needs to definitely add on more weight. He's 6'4". He's kind of like this long, bean pole type of athlete. He's definitely going to need to add more weight on his frame. But, I think that's something with an NFL weight training program. I'm not really too concerned about it. But definitely injuries play a factor into that. And this is my favorite pro about him is his pocket presence and toughness. I always give credit to Kirk Cousins over the past couple of seasons. His ability to sit there in the pocket and take a direct hit from a quarterback when he's getting popped in the mouth. Jayden Daniels did that countless times this past season, and he's overall got really good feet. Anytime, he had a free rusher in his face, I've noticed he was able to make that man miss, or he's able to kind of buy himself an extra second in the pocket, and even when he was getting hit, he was able to complete a throw without getting thrown off target or thrown off track, so definitely another big pro for him. But a con I also have for Jayden Daniels, he doesn't have the most velocity on his throws, and I don't think that's the biggest issue in the world, but, hey, windows close a lot faster in the NFL. So especially if you're trying to throw over the middle and it's a linebacker and corner kind of closing on that window, you're going to need a little more extra zip where guys like J.J. McCarthy, Caleb Williams, Drake Maye, they got that more of a, high velocity on their throws. So, but then again, maybe these two could be connected. He adds more weight onto his frame. Maybe he could add more velocity onto his throws as well. But another big pro for Jayden Daniels, man, the deep ball accuracy. I mean, yes, this was, him throwing it up to, Malik Nabers and Brian Thomas Jr., but, he put the ball on the money countless times for the LSU Tigers. And I just couldn't even imagine if him in this Vikings offense, with him throwing the ball to Justin Jefferson, those plays would be special, man. And, I think he's definitely got some, glaring cons and glaring pros to his game. But again, a guy like Kevin O'Connell can really sandpaper his game. But I want to get you guys involved on today's video. I already asked you to pick a quarterback for me, but specifically on Jayden Daniels, let me know your NFL comparison for him down below in the comment section. I'll give you guys mine here in a second, but let me know who is your NFL comparison on Jayden Daniels. if I had to give my ceiling comparison for Jayden Daniels, it would be a guy like Lamar Jackson. But if I also had to give my floor comparison for Jayden Daniels, it would probably be a guy like Tyrod Taylor, who's a solid backup in the NFL. Now, listen, I'm not saying he is for sure going to be Lamar Jackson. I think that is his max potential in this league. But a floor for him is a solid backup. And obviously, you're not going to want to take a solid backup, top 5 in the NFL draft. But just watching their play styles, he does remind me of a Tyrod, and he does remind me of Lamar Jackson. But coming up here in just a second, we got more scouting on Jayden Daniels. Bleacher Report, their scouting team over there, they did a great job just kind of breaking down his game, and I want to share some quotes from them here in a second. But guys, the new man in town, Aaron Jones, we got his jerseys for you guys. If you guys had the chatsports.com/Vikings jersey, I think this is going to be a hot jersey to wear at US Bank Stadium this upcoming year. It's not going to come in 00. It will have the correct number on there. So if you guys want to get hooked up with your Aaron Jones jersey today, link for that is in the comment section and description of today's show. Right there, chatsports.com/Vikings jersey. All right, let's break down Jayden Daniels a little bit more in depth here. We got some advanced stats coming to you guys' way here in a second, but this is what Bleacher Report, their scouting department, wrote up about the Heisman quarterback. He says Daniels' arm talent and accuracy is a mixed bag. On one hand, he's a phenomenal deep thrower in rhythm. He regularly drops it in the bucket without needing his receivers to break stride, which I totally agree with. But they carried on to say, however, Daniels' arm strength and accuracy are less dangerous to other parts of the field. He doesn't always have the velocity to fit tight windows, and his accuracy in the 1 to 20 yard range comes and goes. Daniels' accuracy especially falls off when he's forced to throw out of rhythm or late in the down. And, I want to take the positive spin on this first about his deep ball ability. Could you imagine Jayden Daniels to Justin Jefferson over the top, beating Jair Alexander, whatever snaky little cornerback that the Packers have, guarding number 18? It would be special. Jefferson, we've seen the Vikings throw him a decent amount of 50-50 balls, but I've said this countless times on our watch parties. If Jefferson's got one-on-one, you take the chance and throw him the football, and that LSU connection would be super special with JD throwing the JJ. But I want to go a little deeper here on the Jayden Daniels stats from this past season. So PFF, they do adjusted completion percentage, which incorporates, drops and just, whether he got hit when he was throwing and whatever. And this is the completion percentage, strictly for the quarterback. He was had it 76.9, which is incredible. ADOT, if you guys don't know what that is, that's average depth of target, which was 10.5, which is really, really good. And then, like I said, big time throw rate. This is actually 6th in the country at 8.4. Turnover worthy play percentage, only on 1.6% of all plays for Jayden Daniels. He had a turnover-worthy play. And then also his average time to throw the last season was actually pretty high up there at 2.91 seconds, which is another reason why I am skeptical about Daniels, because he had elite receivers and his O-line was actually pretty freaking solid as well. But let's kick it to more about what Bleacher Report has to say. He says, overall, Daniels has an exciting floor as a prospect. He is a veteran-like presence in the pocket, and he's far and away the best athlete in the class at the position. Daniels' average arm talent and inconsistent accuracy may limit his ceiling, but it's hard to imagine him totally flaming out. They carried on to say Daniels would be best in an offense that leans into his rushing ability and vertical passing, similar to a guy like Kyler Murray or Jalen Hurts. And that gets me to this. That last part about him being an offense that fits his game like a Kyler Murray or a Jalen Hurts is the biggest reason why I do have Jayden Daniels at 4. These quarterback rankings are specifically for the Vikings offense, and I think who will run it the best. Caleb Williams, not going to happen, but he would obviously be number 1. Drake Maye, I think Kevin O'Connell could turn him legitimately into a Justin Herbert. That's why I have him at number 2. And I think J.J. McCarthy, all that dude does is win. And I think in KOC's offense with the play action and the run game involved, J.J. would really, really thrive. And plus, J.J.'s never had top-end talent on the outside like the Vikings do. But Jayden Daniels, that's why I got him at 4. And, overall gets me to this take with the Vikings going into this year's draft. If the Vikings don't walk away with Maye, McCarthy, or Daniels, something went wrong. Can we just call it like it is? If the Vikings truly don't draft either of those 3 prospects, what were we doing this whole offseason? Because I've said it. I gave Kwesi right now an A- for his offseason. But how does he upgrade that? You go draft a quarterback, one of these 3 guys, I'll give you an A. And then also, once you extend Justin Jefferson, I'll give you an A+. But let's just say draft night rolls around. Vikings can't trade up, and they just take 2 position players at 11 and 23. Yeah, it would be sweet. We'd have adding 2 first-rounders to this roster and creating a absolute unit around Sam Darnold. But I think it would be a disaster if they don't walk away with a franchise quarterback and one of the best quarterback classes we have seen for a while. So the Vikings got to get this done, and it could be the man, Jayden Daniels. But if you guys made it to the end of today's video and watched the full breakdown of the Heisman Trophy winner, just give me a skull down in the comment section. Let me see where all the real ones are at. Really appreciate you guys always showing support here on the show. And also, guys, if we get any more news, rumors, or updates around the Vikings trading up in this year's draft class, you guys know I'm going to have a video for you guys as soon as possible. So help us reach 24K on the channel. Hit that sub button today. We'll see you guys next time. Go Vikes. All right, pick a quarterback for me. As we had a couple super chats rolling in, I appreciate it. Shout out to you guys, but let me know. Pick a quarterback for me. Did that video change your mind on Jayden Daniels? He is a tough eval, man. I'll tell you what, because he had a hell of a team around him at LSU, and he's also way older. I mean, he's 3 years, 3 draft classes, or 3 classes technically older than that man right there, J.J. McCarthy, who was literally 20 just a couple months ago. But EF Vikings coming in with a $2 super chat. EF Vikings, how you doing, man? Shout out to you. I always see you commenting on the videos as well. Thank you so much for tuning in to our weekly live shows, man. Really, really, really do appreciate it. And also, thank you for supporting the show. But Matt Sonnen coming in with a $2 super chat saying, will we see you at the draft party at US Bank Stadium? Unfortunately, you would not, but I will be live here on the channel. So if you guys want to tune in for that, I would really appreciate it. But Matt, thank you so much for supporting the show. As always, guys, it really goes a long way here. And, you know, a big reason why we're live today on Friday is because of super chats coming in. And, you know, we were only supposed to have 1 live show a week, but since you guys are showing support on the channel, just full transparency here, that's, you know, that is the biggest reason why we are live. So I know, you know, not everybody can, but for the people who can and have, like, seriously, thank you guys so much. There's nothing more I would want to do with my workday than come here and chop it up with y'all.
I have one thing I want to say.
Go for it, Trizzy.
I like Matt's question. Will we see you at the draft party at US Bank Stadium? If you know anybody at US Bank Stadium, tell them to put our coverage on the Jumbotron.
That's a good point. Yeah, we'll be live for the draft.
You could maybe airplay it or something. Who knows?
Go to YouTube, look up Vikings Now by Chat Sports Draft Night, and put me up on screen and see me live reacting to whoever else the quarterback's going to be. But this is the deal of the day. Every $10 super chat, we will get you guys a raffle ticket, and you guys will be signed on our Hall of Fame board. And, hey, we're $35 away from $100 raised on today's show. I put a happy dad here in the shotgun machine. If we get to 100 by the time we're done today, I'll shotgun a beer. So we're $35 away. If you guys want to shotgun some beers with me, I would really, really appreciate it. Because our chroma's freaking out right now. Here we go. But yeah, every $10 super chat does get you a raffle ticket to the Vikings Now, or gets you a raffle ticket to win this. We're going to be auctioning this off at the end of the month. So every $10 that you have sent in this month on our live show next Wednesday, we're going to be spinning a wheel, or we're going to be racing some ducks and see who's going to go home with this lucky item. So if you guys want to support the show, this is more incentive to do so. It's pretty sweet. You can actually twirl it around. It's awesome. A lot bigger than it looks. So would really appreciate it. Matt saying, love that idea. Yeah, shout out to Trace. That was genius. So Matt, if you know anybody there, man, throw us up on screen. It would be, you know, a ton of fun to see some Vikings fans obviously doing so. But we are $35 away from 100 if you guys want to shotgun a beer. Really? I think you're supposed to do that. Wow. Yeah, also quick tidbit. J.J. McCarthy, before we got on here, I was watching a couple of his throws from his pro day. The dude's got a big-time arm, man. And I'm not going to lie, I could see this being a thing for the Minnesota Vikings, and people would freak out, but I wouldn't. I could see the Vikings trading up the 3 and with Jayden Daniels on the board, and they will take J.J. McCarthy. I fully believe it. And people would freak out, but I think it would be 100% the right call.
Seeps, what do you say to the people who on social media are making fun of J.J. McCarthy's ability to throw the ball?
I just think you haven't watched enough tape, man. I mean, you go watch his high school tape back in IMG when he was a 5-star recruit, and he was throwing for almost 3,000 yards in 8 games. Like, I mean, the dude's had a big-time arm his whole life, and it, I just think people who do that, man, it's just you just haven't watched enough. And it's Rob Jigga in the chat. Appreciate you hitting me up on Twitter, man. That made my day. Says Seeps, miss you on Giants chat, but need Vikings to trade up to 4 for McCarthy. Need NYG to draft a Dunze somehow, and do not trade Jefferson at all costs. Rob, I agree with every single word you just said right there, brother. Thank you so much for always showing love. But coming up right now, we're going to be diving into some wild blockbuster trades here on the channel for the Vikings trading up in this year's draft class. So make sure you guys stay tuned and let's just freaking dive into it, fellas. We are getting wild on today's show as we are going over 4 wild blockbuster draft day trade ideas for your Minnesota Vikings. Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Patrick Siepman. And before we dive into my 4 trade ideas, I just want to say thank you so much to the real ones here who have been tuning in all off season long and really just helping and supporting the show. I really do appreciate it. We're closing in on 24,000 subscribers right now. By the time you're seeing this video, we're probably less than 200 away. I would love to hit this weekend. So if you guys haven't already, hit that sub button. Join this family we have here at Vikings Now. And just shout out to you guys for all the support you guys have been showing. It's been freaking awesome. But let's dive into it. So the Vikings draft picks as it stands right now. They obviously do have pick 11 and they do have pick 23, but they're kind of loaded in the back half of this draft. They do have 2 fourth-rounders they can give up because they got 1 in return in that TJ Hawkinson trade. They got 2 fifth-rounders because they got 1 from the Kansas City Chiefs. They also have a 6th-round pick from the Carolina Panthers, and they also still have their own 7th-round pick. So the Vikings definitely have a ton of ammunition to work with. No 2nd-round pick last year, but all those other picks are available as well. And the first trade we're diving into, this is the all-in move. This is the Drake Maye trade. If this trade goes down, the Vikings will be fully committed to drafting the North Carolina quarterback, but you would be giving up picks number 11 and 23 and a 5th-rounder. And then on top of that, you're going to need to give them a first-round pick for 2025 and a 3rd-round pick that you will get a comp pick for KJ Osborne leaving, so that wouldn't really hurt them too bad. And I know what you might be saying, that is way too much to give up for a quarterback. Guys, if you really want Drake Maye, and all reports have indicated that the Vikings want the North Carolina quarterback, you are going to need to submit an offer to the Washington Commanders that makes them question their kind of love for a quarterback at number 2. You're not just going to need to pay the QB tax. You're going to also have to pay the tax that team wants to draft a quarterback, and I think the Vikings may actually do so because Darren Wolfson had this to say on Skor North. He says, of the 3, of Drake Maye, Jayden Daniels, and J.J. McCarthy, my sense is the Vikings have pretty strong, good opinions on all 3. Now I'd understand it if Maye is the clear-cut number 1 of these 3, and I totally agree with with the Vikings brass and Vikings front office if Drake Maye is their number 1 guy, because I do think he has that Josh Allen, he has that Justin Herbert potential, and with the support system Minnesota would offer that young player, I think he could really flourish and really see his pros be on display every single Sunday. But I want to go a little deeper here on Drake Maye. We show you guys a lot of his just basic stats, but I want to go into his advanced stats real quick. So adjusted completion percentage, it takes into consideration, drops and all that, and he had 71.5% this past season. Pretty good. ADOT, if you guys don't know what that is, that's average depth of target on all of his throws, which was at 11 yards, which is pretty damn solid. Big time throw rate was at 7.7%, which was 2nd in his class behind Jayden Daniels. Turnover worthy play rate, 1.9. It's okay. It was about middle of the pack in college football last season, but again, he had to put, that North Carolina team on his back, so I don't really put too much stock in that. And then his offensive line, it was a little shaky last year, and he only had an average time to throw of 2.79 seconds. But we dove into this scouting report on a video early on this week, but I kind of just wanted to re-give you guys my thoughts here. So the biggest pro about him, touch every blade of grass on a football field, big-time arm. He truly is like that Justin Herbert type of build. I hate using that comparison because I feel like every guy has that comparison for Drake Maye, but Akani has. He's got happy feet in the pocket. Excuse me. His pocket presence isn't necessarily the best, and he's a big pat the football guy. If you guys remember when Kirk first got here to Minnesota, Kirk would just sit in the pocket going like that, and it did get him into some trouble, but also big-time pro. He's got great mobility. He reminds me similar to a Josh Allen type of runner without that kind of physical kind of, run over the dude style, but he's similar in a way where he can break arm tackles from smaller DBs very easily. Another con he has, he's got a slower release. He's kind of got a wind-up, which, I'm not going to look too much into, but obviously, the game speeds up in the NFL, and with that release being slower, that's definitely could be a concern for him moving forward, but kind of speaks to the mobility. I mean, he's 6'4", got really good size on him, and you could just tell by his frame that he's really going to fill out well. But if this is the trade that goes down for the Minnesota Vikings, trading up with the Commanders, I just got to ask you guys, man, would you do this deal? Would you give up 11, 23, a 5th-round pick, a additional 1st-round pick, and then a additional 2025 3rd-round pick? Let me know if you guys would do it. This would be an all-in move for Minnesota. But again, you would be getting Drake Maye, and if he ends up turning out to be Justin Herbert, I promise you, none of us will be concerned with the draft capital we gave up. But give me an A for accept, or give me a D for decline. Second trade we're diving into today, the J.J. McCarthy trade. And I had to do it with his college coach, Jim Harbaugh, with the Los Angeles Chargers. And it's pretty simple. It's just the Vikings giving up 11 and 23, and then they get the 5th pick in this year's draft. I think the Chargers got a lot of holes on their roster. I mean, their best receiver right now is Josh Palmer, which obviously I don't think that's going to be the case heading into the season. So maybe Los Angeles, maybe they go the route of, they want to, get 2 really good players in this draft instead of getting 1 great one. That's why I think this trade makes a lot of sense for both teams. But, overall, I think the Vikings have 2 options here. You either go all in and give all the 1st-round picks and all the extra draft capital you have if you really do believe that Drake Maye is the guy, or you go the route where you just give up 11 and you just give up 23 and you go draft J.J. McCarthy. I'm down with either of these. If either of these trades goes down, I'm throwing a party here on the channel. I think they would both work out. And the thing is with J.J. McCarthy, I do think he would need to sit for a year behind Sam Darnold. The biggest reason why I love J.J. McCarthy is because he legitimately just turned 21 years old this past January. And if we look at other quarterbacks in the league who have sat for at least a year, hey, shout out to the Packers. Hey, giving them love, but man, they have done that quarterback thing right over the last 40 years, it feels like. They had Aaron Rodgers sit behind Favre, and then Jordan Love sat behind Rodgers, and those 2 are obviously both franchise quarterbacks. Maybe jury's still out on Jordan Love, but I thought he looked really good down the second half of the year. And then also, possibly, in my opinion, I'll say this, Mahomes is the greatest quarterback of all time. Listen, Patrick Mahomes, he sat behind Alex Smith for a year. He's special. I mean, the dude's going to probably 3-peat this next season. So I definitely think there is some, there's benefits to sitting a quarterback. Obviously, us as fans, we want to see that guy out there right away. But I think just letting him kind of take in the NFL a little bit for a year. And my biggest argument on why drafting J.J. McCarthy is he is 21 years old. Jayden Daniels is 23. Bo Nix, Penix, they're both 23 as well. Could you imagine what J.J. McCarthy is when he's 23 after sitting maybe 1 or 2 years behind a Sam Darnold? I think it would work out. But third trade here, the most realistic trade here on the channel. And this was thrown out there by Bleacher Report when they were talking about the Cardinals being open to trading down. And if I had to put money on a trade happening now before draft night, it is 100% going to be the Vikings and Cardinals making this deal. Listen, the Cardinals, you're going to get 11 or you're going to have to give up 11 and 23 here. And then the Vikings would also be getting a 6th-round pick, but you would be getting, obviously, you would be getting a big-time move here. And, listen, my whole take is, you don't want to risk it. If the Vikings want J.J. McCarthy, don't risk someone jumping you. I really do think, like, at the Vikings, if they want to go all in on J.J. McCarthy, I think, you're going to have to go up and get the 4 because somebody might be trying to get the 4 if you go get the 5. So, I definitely do think that if the Vikings want to go get him, you're going to have to go up and get up at 4 because you don't want to risk like Denver or Las Vegas trading up and jumping to. But I do want to get to the Caleb Williams trade idea here it's a Vikings and Bears trade. And listen, this would be a blockbuster, and I'll say this trade is not going to happen, but I do just want to talk about the Vikings potentially getting Caleb Williams. So the Vikings will obviously get the number 1 overall pick in the draft class. but this would be the overwhelming offer that they would have to send to Chicago. Again, this is not happening. That's why we haven't talked about it on the show really ever, but I wanted to kind of have some fun here as they would be giving up a 2024 first-round pick, obviously, both the 11 and 23, then a fifth, and then you also have to give up 2 more first, and then also a third-round pick on top of that, so a total of 4 first and an additional third and fifth. Again, probably not going to happen, but I wanted to talk about it, and it gets me to this point. What if Caleb Williams just randomly one of these days? We know he's kind of a firecracker. He's got some mojo to him. He's kind of this loose kind of cannon. And what if he just says, screw it, I'm not going to Chicago. And he pulls an Eli Manning. And he says, I am not going there. You trade that pick or else I will not play for your team. Well, RG3 had the same thoughts, and this is what he had to say on Caleb Williams. He said, Caleb Williams should pull an Eli Manning and demand the Chicago Bears do not draft him number 1 overall. After everything that has happened with Justin Fields, can Caleb Williams really look at that and say, this is an organization that my best interest in heart, and they're going to help develop me? And all I got to say, RG3, I thought that was an awful take, man. I actually do love you when you're talking on camera and everything. I think you're great, but this is one of the worst takes I've heard because, if you look at what the Bears have done, they have completely put a great roster around Caleb Williams. Obviously when we think of a team drafting number 1 overall, we think they're a 2-3 win team. No, the Bears got lucky as hell with getting the Carolina Panthers pick, and they were a 7-win ball club. And they got dogs on defense, in Montez Sweat, Jalen Johnson. They still got Tremaine Edmonds. And then you got 2 elite receivers in DJ Moore, Caleb Williams. You got Darnell Wright and Braxton Jones, 2 really, really great tackles at that spot. And, Caleb Williams is probably walking into, if it's not the Vikings, the best support system for a rookie quarterback. And it gets me to this point. Let's just say he even says that. Let's just say Caleb Williams says, trade that pick. I'm not coming to Chicago. The Vikings could offer the Bears 10 first-round picks, and I really do believe they would not trade him. I just think the Bears, they'll be just idiotic of them, and they would just probably be, kicking themselves every single night if that was the case. I mean, could you imagine, the Bears had to play Caleb 2 times per year? So I think it's incredibly unlikely. Just kind of wanted to talk about it because RG3 threw out that kind of bogus report. But I need you guys to predict it for me to round out today's show. Who will the Vikings draft? Let me know who it will be down in the comments section. J.J. McCarthy is the overwhelming favorite according to bookmakers out west. I'm probably going to be typing J.J. McCarthy on this video, but maybe you disagree. Maybe you think it's Drake Maye, Jayden Daniels, or another wild card. Let me know your thoughts down below. And as always, guys, just want to say thank you guys so much for supporting the show. The support on the channel has been unreal as of lately, and I really do appreciate it because it just keeps me motivated here at work, and I just love covering this football team. So if you guys haven't already and want another go-to Vikings YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. Help us reach 24K here on the channel. See you guys next time. Let's go Vikings. All right, let me know. Who will the Vikings draft? As Alex Smith saying, happy feet. Yeah, Drake Maye's got happy feet in the pocket. He definitely gets a little jittery there, I will say. But again, I don't think it's a big deal because I think with Kevin O'Connell and Josh McCown, they'll be able to, obviously change that, and I think they'll be able to fix it, which is why, I got Drake Maye as number 2. But James Knapp coming in with a $5 super chat saying that's a steep price for Maye, but if the QB pans out, it's an underpay. James, totally agree. I thought that was a great point. I'll probably steal that point on a video because, if you do get a franchise quarterback, man, you're not going to be worried about these draft picks. You're going to be good enough where you can get guys in the 2nd and 3rd round next season, and they can really, help fill out this roster. So, James, I totally agree with that. It would be a steep price, but, dude, what if he works out? That's the thing. What if he becomes Justin Herbert, Josh Allen? Are Vikings fans really going to be crying about that extra draft capital we bought? No, probably not. But we are going to sign off here in a little bit. But I want
to add something here because I think you guys, both you and James, bring up some good points.
Yeah.
Another argument that I want to make is you also can't sit here and say after year 1 that pick was a bust. That pick was terrible.
100%.
It was not worth trading all the picks. Because I want to go back to the Saints and the Commanders trade that they made to select Chris Olave, who turned out to be Sam Howell, Jahan Dotson, a couple other players. Most of those guys aren't even in Washington anymore.
Yeah.
So, at the time, you're like, wow, the Saints gave up a ton
of draft capital, yeah.
And they got all these players that are playing well.
Yep.
Sam Darnold traded away.
And also, more ammunition to that, the Vikings are going to be number 1 in cap space next season. They have a ton of dead money this year, but they're projected to have almost $150 million next year. Obviously, Jefferson's going to get extended. Darisaul's going to get extended.
And the salary cap will go up.
And the salary will go up. That's a great point. But, if Vikings, let's just say Jefferson gets 30, Darisaul gets 25, and you're going to probably have to, extend Addison at a point. But, the Vikings are probably going to be sitting with $100+ million in cap. Why not go use draft capital to move up and get your guy? And then, you can fill out the rest of your roster in free agency. I think the Vikings have, you just start thinking about their plan here over the next 5 years. Kwesi has just knocked it out of the park. But we're going to put a 2-minute shot clock on my phone right now. If we don't get a super chat in the next 2 minutes, we're going to sign off here. If you guys want to get kind of last chance to get in on our raffle entry, I would really appreciate it. But shout out to all you guys. Alex Smith in the chat. Jesse saying McCarthy shouldn't be a first-round pick. Well, every NFL scout and NFL GM disagrees with you, and I disagree too. I think he deserves it. He's got great intangibles, and he's just a dog, man. He's just a dog. Ty, man, saying Skol. Greasy Flight in the chat as well. What's up, Greasy Flight? Haven't heard your name in a while. Cody saying Patriots will draft Harrison Jr., causing the Cardinals to trade out. That would be a perfect scenario. Hey, honestly, a great scenario with the Vikings. Hey, this would actually be a perfect end to the free agency period. It would be Caleb Williams, Jayden Daniels, the Patriots take Marvin Harrison, and then Drake Maye sitting there at 4, Vikings send it all. I'm serious. You do whatever it would take, because then the Cardinals are sitting there and they're like, well, do we want Bowers? Do we want to take Neighbors, Rome? Probably not. They would probably want to go in a different direction. As Rune in the chat. What up, Rune?
Well, and on top of that, you might be able to grab an offensive lineman or an edge rusher or another position in need rather than just one great wide receiver. You can get a really good wide receiver in a Rome Odunze and then go get
another
Chop Robinson, Latu Latu. Get one of those edge rushers or something.
Yeah, the Cardinals don't have a roster right now where it's it makes sense for them to, unless it's Marvin Harrison Jr., and they want to just get that connection of Harrison and Kyler. I totally agree with that, and I wouldn't disagree with that choice. But Matt in the chat saying, really enjoying your channel. I thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's ridiculous to say we should trade away first-round picks and just fill out our rosters with free agents. I don't. Because the Vikings right now, what's the biggest hole on this roster? It's the freaking quarterback position. Or it's the interior of the offensive line. But you got dudes on defense now signed up for the next multiple years. You got young players that are up and coming, like an Ivan Pace, like a Mekhi Blackman, like Josh Metella still. I just disagree with that.
Do you remember how the Rams? Do you remember the approach the Rams took to win a Super Bowl?
Exactly.
Picks.
The Rams didn't have, I don't think, a first-round pick. It was for 5 straight years because they traded all of them to go get Goff, and then they moved off Goff to go get Stafford. And the Rams, again, look at the Rams right now. Are they screwed? No, they got a ton of draft picks this season. It's just, you can treat every season and off season differently. So. But I do want to say thank you guys so much for watching. We are going to sign off here as Rune. Yeah, we need to get a quarterback, man. I don't know when it's going to happen. I think it could happen literally at any second, just whenever, the 2 GMs decide, on draft capital. But shout out to everybody tuning in. It was an awesome show, and just thank you guys for the support on the channel. There's going to be a video coming out later today, so make sure you guys do turn on those notifications so you guys do check that out. Ty, man, just shipped out your real one, or the Hall of Fame item, the fan cave, yesterday. So hopefully it gets to you soon. And yeah, really just appreciate it, guys. We're going to sign off here, though. As always, Skol Vikes, baby.